well, we're going into a pre-recorded interview with Mr. Joe Moses, who is a Jiu-Jitsu enthusiast, and he organized something very special in Tobago last week. So I had a conversation with him, and we're going to get into that now.
Ways to open up our tourism and introduce other different sports and so on. So one of them is Mr. Joe Moses, who has a contingent here to do jiu-jitsu. Good morning and welcome to you, sir. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
All right. So he is here hosting a camp called Rolling in Tobago. So, Mr. Joe Moses, tell me a little bit more about that.
So, Rolling in Tobago basically covers the sport of jiu-jitsu, and we have guys all over the world through camps at different tropical locations, and we've attended a few of those, and we figured, why can't we do one in our tropical country? So we put it out, built a website, and we got some content creators to come through and attract 30 foreigners, 10 locals to spend a week in Tobago training jiu-jitsu and just contributing to the economy.
And tell me about some of the details on the elements that you've included, because from what I saw, the line of the activities are quite interesting.
So we have glass bottom boat tours planned for the guys. We have a day trip to Costara Falls and Englishman's Bay. We have a day trip planned to Pigeon Point where the guys can come and do water sports. We have a beach cooker planned, and then we have all sorts of different stuff at the hotel planned just to add value for the foreigners that are coming here to get value for money.
And the training itself?
Well, we have a morning session and an evening session planned, and we have 2 international black belts that have come to the camp to be able to instruct and teach at the camp. So the guys that have paid to be here can have actual quality training while they're here. So they have the tourist part of it and the training part of it.
And tell me about the buzz, the excitement that's been around this camp here.
So far, so good. We've had guys filtering yesterday, and they're blown away by Tobago, and they have been kind of going to the beach. I've been trying to warn them about the sun, because the sun is pretty intense. But so far, I think the excitement level is pretty good, and I'm looking forward to spending a week with them and just trying to show them everything that Tobago has to offer.
And then, tell me about mixing jiu-jitsu with a tropical climate as Tobago.
So jiu-jitsu retreats aren't new. They've been done in Mexico, Costa Rica, in Madeira, in Portugal. So they tend to tie it towards tropical climates. So to add, just to attract people to come out and train. The value is jiu-jitsu training, but the way to attract them is through a tropical climate. A lot of these guys live in the US, Canada. They don't have exposure to beaches and nice weather. So they pair that with a tropical location, and that kind of attracts guys. So us in the Caribbean, I don't think there are any in the Caribbean. And I think we are the first one to actually do one in the Caribbean, which is good. And I don't see why we can't continue doing it throughout the other islands, throughout Tobago, multiple times throughout the year in Tobago. So.
Talking about jiu-jitsu itself, now of course it's a form of martial art, and for those who are watching and wondering what is jiu-jitsu, it's a weird word, could you explain a little bit about what it is?
So jiu-jitsu came from Japan, from Japanese jiu-jitsu. It was brought to Brazil in the 1940s, and it eventually evolved into Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It was taken to America in 1994 and made popular by the UFC. But it entails just ground fighting. So it's submission-based, positional control. It's all ground fighting. There's no striking. There's the objective to win a match is to make your opponent submit by an arm lock, leg lock, or a choke. So.
And it's like I said, it's a form of martial art and something wonderful and helpful, mentally helpful to get into.
Oh yeah. Physically draining and mentally draining, for sure.
No, and then tell me about just the growth of Jiu-Jitsu in Trinidad and Tobago.
So Jiu-Jitsu's been around maybe, I would say around 14 years, but very small and niche. And they've been a core group of guys that have always trained, and we've always traveled to learn to bring back to the island. And I think in the past 2 or 3 years, it has really exploded in terms of, you've seen more gyms popping up, more younger guys wanting to get involved in the sport. The sport itself in America has gotten really popular in the past 5 years. So I think that has trickled down into our islands where the excitement is there. So I would say our community in Trinidad and Tobago, the guys from Tobago that come to train with us is probably around 100 guys. So the hope is that through things like these, it brings more awareness to like the Ministry of Sports and those kind of bodies to kind of put a little bit more effort into it, and hopefully we can grow it to become a proper sport in Trinidad just like the others. So.
And why should people be interested?
I think overall it's good, just self-defense, fitness. I think everybody should at least know how to handle themselves in certain situations. I think even for females to be able to defend themselves against somebody maybe trying to hold them down, I think overall it's just a phenomenal sport. So.
And then tell me about, what are your hopes after this camp is over? What is the vision and the plan going forward?
I think the vision really is just to put Trinidad and Tobago on the map for Jiu-Jitsu, to let the international community know that there is a scene lively in the Caribbean and that they can come here and train. We have gyms all over in Trinidad that they can come. There's good quality guys, and hopefully long term we get young guys that can go away and represent Trinidad and Tobago on the big stages.
And then what about the opportunities here in Tobago for Jiu-Jitsu?
So right now, to my knowledge, there's one gym in Tobago. There's a group of guys that they come to us in Trinidad to train, to gain knowledge to take back to Tobago. And the hope is that eventually we can bring some gyms from Tobago and establish them here and just have a sport available to the guys that want to get into Jiu-Jitsu in Tobago as well, especially the younger kids as well. So.
And then of course, with this camp, some amazing things are going to happen, hopefully in the future.
Of course. So we have 6 content creators, YouTubers here at the camp. So they're all going to be shooting footage and they're going to put on the YouTube channels and spread that to an international audience, not only for Tobago and the hotel and for the sport, but just in general, just tourism in Tobago, and people are going to become more aware that Tobago is a beautiful place. So.
And it's a wonderful marketing strategy because you're targeting a group of people that perhaps are never really considered when you think about who you market tourism to.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So, and then tell me a little bit about, what was the thought process that went in behind that?
So we went to a camp in 2019 in Dallas, and the guy that was there he does one in Portugal, and he had invited us to come to Portugal, but it was just too far and too expensive for us to make it. And I started looking online at different retreats and where it was available. A lot of them were in like Mexico, Costa Rica, all these tropical locations, and I thought, man, we live in a tropical location, why can't we have a camp? So I started planning it from 2019. Then COVID came and kind of slowed it down, and as soon as that was over, I started back putting a little bit of energy into it and reaching around, and I made some contacts with a guy called Jordan, teaches Jiu-Jitsu from Canada, who has a large audience, and he was down to do it with me. And as soon as I got him on board, I kind of finalized everything. I reached out to Grafton, we worked out some packages, and we just built a website and started marketing it. So
great. And then so we have 6 content creators on board here, and just for the viewers, so they can perhaps check out these content creators after.
Sure.
Give me an idea of who is involved.
So Jordan teaches Jiu-Jitsu, Jedi does Jiu-Jitsu, there's a guy called Casa, there's a guy called Tyler Spangler, there's a guy called Ryan Giuliano, and there's one other guy that I'm forgetting right now, and I'm sorry. So, but we have 6 of them here that have large audiences on YouTube and are specific to the Jiu-Jitsu community, and they do pretty good.
And come on, it might be the chance to, in a couple of weeks' time, just Google, just on YouTube, just search Jiu-Jitsu in Tobago.
Just check it out.
And see how comes up. We were excited to see,
of course,
what your camp does and how it grows in the future.
Of course, it's going to get bigger and better, which is the plan, to do it every year and maybe twice a year. So.
Wow, great.
Yeah.
So big things are happening in Tobago. That's it for now. We go to a break and we'll see you after this.